It's extremism that's the problem, and Twitter amplifies that. I think that extremism is threatening everything, and people are liars, and they pretend it's because of what you're saying, but really they just don't want to hear it because you're not on the right side. There's so much hypocrisy and lies, and the more you tell a lie, some people believe it, and that is like the new politics. Lie enough till people believe it, and it becomes a.
Ricky Jay leaves no room for mercy, absolutely annihilating Keir Starmer with jokes so brutally precise they'd make a dragon reconsider its life choices, transforming any idea that politics is boring into pure spectacle, as this roast unfolds like a lion methodically toying with an immobile office chair. What comes next is an unrelenting masterclass in comedic savagery, with Starmer shredded by surgical wit, impeccable timing, and merciless precision, turning the encounter into a whirlwind of laughter and disbelief. A wild, unforgettable roller coaster you absolutely won't want to miss.
Don't get political, but they're all. When are we going to stop taking went to Eton as a qualification to run the country? I mean, now.
Let's be crystal clear from the start. Keir Starmer stormed into British politics looking like the living, breathing incarnation of beige wallpaper, the sort that's safe, inoffensive, and so mind-numbingly bland you forget it exists until someone awkwardly nudges you to notice. Folks once dared to. Hope he'd stir the political pot with a bit of flavour, maybe a splash of charisma, a hint of vision, or at least a spark of daring. But instead it was like sprinkling a mere grain of salt into a raging pot of boiling water. Technically seasoning, yes, but utterly negligible, barely detectable, and certainly not the blaze of excitement anyone was secretly wishing for.
News now, with these parties that the government, the people in charge were breaking the rules, having these parties in their lovely gardens. I think I've been naive all my life. It's not till now I just go, why do we trust them? Of course we shouldn't trust the people in charge. That's how they're in charge. They shouldn't be trusted.
Remember that tiny flicker of hope? The thrill of unwrapping a fancy new snack expecting fireworks of flavour, only to discover it suspiciously tastes like plain old bread? That's Keir Starmer's leadership boiled down, all sizzle on the wrapper, then straight back to beige. Beige, and yet more beige. The kind of beige that makes you pause and question whether the paint actually matches the carpet, or if you've simply given up caring entirely.
We've got the mandate. I mean, we've just won by huge numbers the local elections, the mayoral elections. I think we got more than twice as many votes as were cast for Labour. So, of course, Starmer's panicking, he's terrified. It's quite funny. In the Commons now, he looks at Nigel and I as much as he looks at Kemi, and he looks really anxious. What are we doing? When are we laughing? What are we saying? And look, he's right to say we are effectively the real opposition.
For a man who strutted in on promises of change and competence, the reality has felt more like staring at paint drying, except the paint is cracked, peeling, and some unseen hand keeps assuring you it'll be fixed any day now. Because months into Keir Starmer's leadership, the UK seems trapped in an endless rerun of a dreadful sitcom where the punchlines are stale, the laugh track permanently broken, and every plot twist painfully predictable, with inflation playing the relentless villain, tax hikes bumbling in as unwelcome comic relief, and the British public clutching their heating bills. Like jittery props, desperately wishing the credits would finally roll.
Over as PM, I wouldn't do anything in politics. Wouldn't do anything close to it. Thankless, horrible. I'd be rubbish at it, I'd be angry, I'd piss people off, I'd say the wrong thing. I'd go, forget it, do what you want. I was trying to help you, amongst yourselves. No, that. No. And I wouldn't want to take a pay cut. I wouldn't want to move to a smaller house.
And then there's Ricky J, the guy in the back row, laughing so hard at the absurdity of it all that tears are practically streaming down his face. Because if it weren't so tragically ridiculous, it would be outright hilarious. Like a circus where the clowns forgot their lines, the lions have broken, free, and the trapeze artist never even bothered to show up. Yet somehow, the show must limp on. His laughter isn't mere mockery, it's a piercing spotlight on the farce of a government that promised stability but delivered chaos swaddled in beige, laying bare the hollow pledges, the feeble policies, the endless backpedaling, and making it painfully clear that the only sane response left is to laugh now, before the sobs inevitably come later.
One of the worst prime ministers we've ever had, and he's only been with us 81 days. But look what he's done in those 81 days. He's allowed the Chancellor to go ahead with a scheme where 4,000 pensioners could freeze to death this winter, and those are Labour figures, by the way, not Tory figures, OK. He's introduced a raft of policies like energy, which could make us dependent on overseas energy ad infinitum, so dictators around the world will control.
Everyday Brits are standing at supermarket checkouts, watching their carefully planned grocery baskets shrink faster than a wool sweater in a hot wash. And then there are the taxes. Because nothing screams we're helping working families quite like quietly hiking national insurance contributions. While sprinkling in council tax increases for extra flair, it's like being told your burden will be lightened just before someone straps a backpack full of bricks labelled more tax and inflation onto your shoulders. A surreal balancing act that wouldn't look out of place under a circus tent. Except here the clown is Keir Starmer himself, juggling the nation's financial misery with a smile so stiff it could be carved from stone. While inflation, the relentless, uninvited beast, mockingly ignores every policy announcement like a squatter who refuses to pay rent. Prices climbing so rapidly that buying a loaf of bread feels like entering a high-stakes auction where survival itself is up for bid, and Starmer's grand promises of economic competence now read like a sketch from a farcical play. Cue Ricky J in the back row shaking his head, half in disbelief, half in hysterical laughter, still waiting for a punchline that never, ever comes.
Is the in charge, do what they want. And you know what, I can, you know, I see all these people saying all the parties they were having and what all the stuff they were doing. And people saying, you know, that was the day I couldn't see my mum in hospital, or I couldn't go to my dad's funeral. And because the people in charge, the posh, privileged people in charge, were acting like Charlie shit.
You know it's truly dire when even the very idea of helping the economy turns into the punchline. Ordinary people can't afford essentials. Businesses are being crushed under skyrocketing costs. And somehow Keir Starmer's government still seems convinced that nudging tax rates a millimetre and calling it a strategy will miraculously fix everything, like trying to douse a raging house fire with a water pistol. Cute, but utterly pointless. The kind of spectacle that would have Ricky J laughing in disbelief, because crying would just be far too exhausting, and then you drift over to immigration, where the tragedy somehow grows even more absurdly comical. Channel crossings turning into the political equivalent of a joke with no punchline, while Starmer's team stands around trying to piece together what the setup was. Boats continuing to arrive, carrying people seeking refuge, safety, or just a chance at a better life. And the government's response resembling an endless game of bureaucratic hot potato. Responsibility tossed from one department to the next as the waves lap the shore. The public's frustration swelling and asylum processing crawling along at the pace of a snail on holiday, leaving everyone wondering if anyone in power has actually noticed the chaos unfolding before their eyes.
We are in the world, but we've had a terrible year. I don't want to be that bloke that complains, but it's been shit. And people say, oh, it's good for the farmers. They need a bit of sunshine too, though, don't they? It's not, they don't just want 6 months of rain. What are they farming? Mould. I'm a mould.
But this isn't just about immigration numbers or border logistics. The chaos seeps straight into broader anxieties about law, order, and public safety. A veritable goldmine for Ricky Jay's razor-sharp wit as crime rates creep upward, emergency services stretch to breaking point, and public concern piles up like unopened bills left on a kitchen counter, ignored until it can't be anymore, while Keir Starmer's government, all cautious tones and painfully measured responses, looks less like a team in control and more like a sitcom character crouched behind the sofa, praying the problem will vanish on its own. Ricky's humour slices clean through the illusion, exposing a government that endlessly preaches a steady hand yet can barely hold the cup without spilling it. Because this isn't stability, it's the precarious wobble of a juggler who forgot he has 3 flaming torches in each hand.
Be talking about cancelling the Prime Minister, shouldn't we, really? This is the sort of thing, and I'm making a bit of a joke of it, but it's actually a very close line to being serious. This is the kind of thing that got people put in jail back in July. That there has been this astonishing inversion of language. Now, the question is, what does it actually mean? If it means anything.
And like all great jokes, Ricky Jay reminds us that sometimes the punchline isn't about laughing at all. It's about staring at the chaos and marvelling at just how absurd things have become. While Keir Starmer stands there with that trademark stiff smile, seemingly convinced that calmness alone can mask the disorder. Yet if Ricky Jay has shown us anything, it's that you can't fake funny. And you absolutely cannot fake leadership. The UK deserves far more than tax hikes disguised as help. Inflation openly mocking every policy announcement, and a leader who preaches fiscal responsibility with one hand while quietly letting national insurance and council taxes climb with the other. As if squeezing ordinary citizens dry is the new definition of care. Like being told you're on a diet and then handed a triple chocolate cake with a reassuring grin. Go on, just one bite. Except that bite swiftly morphs into a mouthful of pure economic pain, leaving the public grimacing and Ricky Jay shaking his head in equal parts disbelief and hysterical laughter.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime, and it makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country.
Meanwhile, the cost of living isn't just rising, it's scaling Mount Everest in flip-flops, with energy bills shooting through the roof and heating homes like outrageously overpriced saunas, while Keir Starmer's government drifts along in a long, lethargic game of wait and see. Spoiler alert, nobody's winning. And the notion that leadership can calmly sip tea while national energy costs spiral out of control is comedy gold in theory. Except this isn't a comedy, leaving public services stretched to the limit, communities simmering with frustration, and the entire country trapped in an endless what now? Loop, while the government stands idly by, shuffling paperwork and pretending progress is actually happening. Keir Starmer sells himself as the steady hand, the mild-mannered leader who somehow turns indecision into performance art, like a player who always passes sideways, never daring to take the shot. Meanwhile, Ricky Jay's fearless honesty is a splash of icy water, exposing a nation starved for genuine leadership. Because when bold, decisive action is needed, Starmer offers steadiness and not much else in the way of strategy. It's like showing up to a knife fight armed with a butter knife, and Ricky's comedy throws a blinding spotlight on the absurdity, no sugarcoating, just truth delivered with merciless precision. At the end of the day, this roast isn't just about laughs, it's a stark reminder that leadership demands taking risks, making the hard calls, and actually solving problems, while Starmer's Britain right now feels less like meaningful progress and more like a sitcom endlessly stuck on the same tired, bad punchline.